better. I'm doing better.
No More Sleep Game Script is all about helping you with your week-to-week fantasy football lineups. Rather than paying attention to things like individual players, we look at game script because coaches don't get injured. So what you want to do is pay attention to the numbers that we tell you. We're going to tell you the strengths and weaknesses based on how the defenses perform recently as well as last year. We'll bake in the strengths of the offenses, and then we'll basically tell you, okay, here are the stats or the metrics that you want to pay attention to from your players. And then you make a smart decision and an informed decision on who to start and who to sit. All right, so we're going to talk about the Packers-Vikings matchup in Week 2, 2019. And while many people are going to be paying attention to the Packers defense because they've developed this reputation all of a sudden of being a stout defense because of what they did in Week 1 against the Bears, the truth of the matter is it's too early to tell. Mike Pettine is still the defensive coordinator, and knowing him, he's probably still going to have a weak defense when it comes to third down. They allow so many third down opportunities, it doesn't make sense. So from a game script perspective, we don't think the Vikings will change anything differently going into this game just because of Week 1. So there are 3 conclusions on the Viking side of the ball, which is what this video is focused on in this matchup. The first conclusion is you can expect Kirk Cousins to throw the ball more than he did last week, but don't be surprised if it's not at his normal level, because the Packers, again, the weaknesses that they have is not necessarily on the catching side of the ball. Okay, they can do pretty decently against receivers. Where they struggle is against running backs, especially when it comes to third down opportunities. So from a game script perspective, you don't want Kirk to go out there throwing it 50 times, but you don't want him to be throwing it less than 15 either, right? So expect Kirk to throw the ball more than he did last week. Second conclusion, there are 2 things that from a game script perspective you want to do against the Packers. The first thing you want to do is wear them out, because the Packers have proven, and since Mike Pettine has been a defensive coordinator, that the Packers don't have the best rotation when it comes to defensive players that they rotate in and out. That seems to be a weakness for them, which is why they allow so many third down opportunities. They get worn out after a few carries every now and again. By the way, they were ranked and at the bottom of the pack when it came to the amount of rushing attempts that they allowed per game as well. So the numbers are backing up the story here. So what do you do from a Vikings point of view? You want the running back who's going to get the most rushing attempts. How do you know who's going to get the rushing attempts? The running back who's going to be the ideal situation to plug in for third down. Once the offensive coordinator of the Vikings realize that third down opportunities will be plenty, he's going to need to put in the running back who is a threat on third down, which means the person you want is the running back who has the highest catch rate. That's at the end of the day. Rushing attempts and catch rate is how you be successful against the Packers. Now, one would say, okay, well, Dalvin Cook is a guaranteed start in this case, but the fact of the matter is, I think he had less than 60% snap share last week, so it's not like he's the bell cow. So don't rule out other running backs in that backfield. We're not going to tell you what players to start. That's not what we do here, but what you need to do is pay attention to your situation. See whether or not the catch rate makes sense, because the person with the highest catch rate is probably going to be the one with the hot hand, and there are going to be a lot of opportunities on third down for that individual. On the receiver side of the ball, there are 3 things that will help the receiver be successful against the Packers, and this is where the Packers actually are a little bit stronger, especially with the addition of Adrian Amos. So 3 things you're going to need. You don't want to rely on receptions. That's probably not going to happen. You're not going to leave this game with a ton of receptions, but Packers all week when it comes to the red zone against the pass. They were weak against the pass in the red zone, so you want a receiver or a tight end, whatever, who has red zone share. So the one with the highest red zone share, you want that. The second thing you're going to look into is air yards. You want 6 or more, period. Now, the beautiful thing about the Vikings is that Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs both, are air yard monsters. So there you have it. I mean, they have that already. But the third thing, if there's a tie here, so maybe you got like multiple Viking players and you're trying to figure out which one you want. Red zone share, air yards. The last thing is receiving average. Close to 11.8 as possible. Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs, for example, they are normally well above 11.8. They, some like 14 average, yards, that they get per reception, which is great, but not against the Packers. You need someone who's going to be around that 11 to 12 yard range, because that's where the Packers DBs break down. It's not the safeties that's going to be breaking down here. It's going to be when linebackers are covering offensive players, and when the cornerbacks in the slot are covering certain players on those short to intermediate routes. So do not be surprised if Cal Rudolph has a good game if he's playing. Okay, if he plays in his game, you can expect him to be seen somewhere in one of these highlight videos at the end of the game. Are we saying start Cal Rudolph? We don't tell you any players to start, because things change, and you don't want to go off of that. What you want to go off of is the metrics. So do the same exercise for the other players that you have. Look at Cal Rudolph. Look at Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison, and whoever else that's there. Pay attention to the injury list and feel good about your pick using informed decisions. So we gave you the data. Use this to make informed decisions. No more sleep game script.
Get it, go get it, I got it. Get it, go get it, I got it. Get it, go get it, I got it.